During today's video, we're going to be dividing rational numbers. To divide rational numbers, you're going to use the same rules for signs as you use for dividing integers. In case that you do not remember, same signs, your answer is going to be positive, and different signs, your answer is going to be negative. So let's take a look at this first example. Negative a and 4/10 divided by negative 3 and 6/10. So I would like you to start visualizing division as fractions. For example, negative 8 and 4/10 divided by negative 3 and 6/10. Remember from previous lessons that the denominator will always go outside when you're doing your long division, okay? Absolute value of negative 3 and 6/10 is positive 3 and 6/10 divided by the absolute value of negative 8 and 4/10, which is positive 8 and 4/10. Now, in case that you do not remember how to divide decimals, my goal is to change this into whole numbers by shifting their decimal points. So let's see. If I shift this decimal point one time, now I got a 36. So whatever happens here needs to be reflected in the other side. So I'm going to shift here one times as well. Don't forget to move your decimal point right on top. So I'm going to place it here. So now you think, how many times does 36 fits into 84? Actually, 2 times. So I am going to place a number 2 on top of the 4 because that's where the 84 ended, okay? I'm not going to put it on top of 8. No, I'm going to put it on top of the 4 because that's where the 84 ended, okay? So 36 times 2 is equals to 72. Now you're ready to subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 8 minus 7 is 1. Remember that there are invisible zeros here, okay? So I'm going to bring a 0 down. Now I have 120. So 36 fits 3 times into 120 because 36 times 3 is 108. Now you subtract. 0 minus 8, I cannot do it, so I'm going to ungroup from these two. This is going to be a 1, and this one will become a 10. 10 minus 8 is equals to 2. 1 minus 0 is equals to 1, and then 1 minus 1 is 0. So I'm going to bring down the other invisible 0 that I have here. Let me make this a little longer. So now I have 120. Again, 36 fits into 120 3 times because 36 times 3 is 108. By now, you should see that you will get, again, the same answer. So that means that this is a repeating decimal. So I am going to stop right there. So my answer will be positive 2 and 3 with the bar notation right on top of the 3, which means that it is going to be repeating and repeating and repeating. This answer, it is positive because when you're dividing integers, rational numbers, and they have the same sign, my final answer will be positive. Pause the video and try to do this example by yourself. Very good. So now I'm going to divide their absolute values. Absolute value of negative 15 is positive 15 divided by absolute value of negative 3 and 45 hundredths is positive 3 and 45 hundredths. In this case, I am dividing a decimal number by a whole number, so I'm not going to shift any decimal point here. I am just going to move this decimal point right on top because I did not do any shifting process here, okay? So let's see. 15 fits into 3 times, actually 0 time, because 15 times 0 is 0. So I'm going to do 3 minus 0, which is 3. Now I'm going to bring down these 4. 15 fits into 34 2 times, because 15 times 2 is 30. 34 minus 30 is equals to 4. So now I'm ready to bring down the 5. Let's see. 15 fits into 45 3 times because 15 times 3 is equals to 45. 45 minus 45 is 0. On this case, my answer is not a repeating decimal. It is a terminate decimal because it ends, okay? It doesn't have any pattern. So my final answer is 0 and 23 hundredths. Again, as they have the same sign, you can see both of them are negative. My final answer will be positive. Pause the video and try to do this division by yourself. Very good. So I'm going to be dividing. Absolute value of positive 3 and 2/10 is positive 3 and 2/10. Divided by absolute value of negative 2 and 4/10 is positive 2 and 4/10. Okay? So here I have a decimal by another decimal. So I'm going to shift my decimal point 1 space. Then I will do the same right here. 1 space again and up. There you go. So now I have 32 here and 24 here. Actually, 32 fits 0 times into 24. So I'm going to put a 0 here. It will be 24 minus 0, which is 24. Now I'm going to bring down my invisible 0, that is right here. So now I have 240. And 32 fits into 240 7 times because 32 times 7 is equals to 224. Now I'm ready to subtract. 0 minus 4, I cannot do it. I need to ungroup this 4. It will stay as a 3. And this one will become a 10. 10 minus 4 is equals to 6. 3 minus 2 is equals to 1. 2 minus 2 is equals to 0. So now I'm going to, let me make this part a little longer. I'm going to bring down another 0. 160. Let's see. 32 fits into 160 5 times because 32 times 5 is 160. So now I got, there you go, negative 0 and 75 hundredths. You might wonder, hold on, why is this answer negative? Well, I am dividing rational numbers with different signs. This is negative and this is positive. That's why my final answer is also negative. So now we're going to be dividing fractions. I would like you to remember this when you're dividing fraction. We're going to keep the first fraction the same. We're going to change the division sign for a multiplication sign, and then we're going to flip the second fraction or use the reciprocal, okay? So let's see. I'm going to keep the first fraction the same. I will change the division sign for a multiplication sign, and then I'm going to flip, okay? Instead of having 4 as a numerator, I will have it as a denominator. Instead of having 3 as a denominator, I will have it as a numerator. So I just flip the order that they have, and this is called the reciprocal. So now I'm ready to multiply. Remember that when you're multiplying fractions, the only thing that you need to do is to multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. But hold on. In this case, you can simplify first. This is totally optional, okay? As I can see here across, they share the same times table. So you can divide this by 2, divide this by 2, and now you're going to have a 3 here, and here you're going to have a 2. So I will have 3/5 times negative 3 out of 2. If you don't want to do this, it's totally fine. You can do 6 times 3 and then 5 times 4, and then you simplify. This is an optional step. If this is confusing for you, don't do it. Just simplify at the end, and that's it. So now I'm ready to continue multiplying my fractions. 3 times 3 is 9, and 5 times 2 is 10. as they have different signs, my final answer will be negative 9 out of 10. Pause the video and try to do this division by yourself. Remember, keep, change, and flip. Very good. So I'm going to keep the first fraction the same. I would change the division sign for a multiplication sign, and then I'm going to add the reciprocal or just flip my second fraction. So it will be negative 2 out of 1. Now I'm ready to multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. As I cannot simplify across, I am just going to continue with my multiplication. 6 times 2 is equals to 12, and 5 times 1 is equals to 5. As they have the same sign, my answer will be positive. But this is not the end. I need to change my improper fraction into a mixed number. So I will divide 5 outside, remember, and 12 inside. 5 fits into 12 two times because 5 times 2 is 10. 12 minus 10 is equals to 2. So this is my whole number, okay? Don't forget. And this is my numerator. So my final answer is 2 and 2/5. That's it, guys. How about you try to do this one by yourself? Pause the video and try to divide it, always keeping in mind that in order for you to divide fractions and mixed numbers, you need to do keep, change, and flip. I suggest that you turn this mixed number into an improper fraction first, and then you keep, change, and flip. Pause the video. Very good. So let's see. 2 times 3, or 3 times 2, is equals to 6, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So this mixed number is actually 8/3, okay? So let me write it down again. Now I'm ready to keep my first fraction the same, negative 1/3, change the division sign for multiplication, and flip the second fraction. So it will be positive 3/8. In this case, I can simplify first because 3 and 3, they share the same times table. So I'm going to divide this by 3, divide this by 3. Remember that this is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. So it will be negative 1 out of 1 times 1/8. Now you're ready to multiply. Remember that in order for you to multiply fractions, you need to do numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. So it will be negative 1 times positive 1. It will be negative 1. And positive 1 times positive 8, it will be positive 8. So my final answer, because these two fractions, a mixed number, they have different signs, will be negative. So my final answer is negative 1/8.